The first step in filmmaking is writing a scenario with the story of the film, and then the storyboard is made from it. There is a delightful filmmaker saying that goes, "The film is done. All there is now is to shoot it." That means, once the storyboard is done, the design of the film is complete, because a professional storyboard details every second of it. When dozens or even hundreds of people are working together on a single film, with the help of the storyboard, everybody knows exactly what to do and how the completed product would look like. This is why, in big studios, it's important to create extremely precise and accurate scenarios and storyboards. However, with short author films with a small crew or a single author are concerned, a scenario can also be as simple as a song or a story without elaborating too much on the details. A storyboard can then be a simple comic strip made of stickmen. This is because a small film lends itself to greater creative freedom and a possibility to always uncover new solutions and ideas, and this is where its charm lies. If you were anything like I was when I first got the taste of animation, you're probably already in a trance about the idea of a big original project, and your mind is already brimming with an idea of a 5-minute film with breathtaking scenes, unique characters, and a serious dramatic story. Do not get fooled by this wave of inspiration. Inspiration is good and necessary for filmmaking, sure, but it is very important to know how to use it in a good way. I know a lot of people who love animation. I often held workshops for people who have never even encountered animation before. My experience tells me that the only people who actually saw their first film through are the ones that stuck to a simple idea and, more importantly, played around with and explored their craft. A simple idea implies a film with 1 or 2 characters, a single situation instead of a tangled dramatic story. A film conveys an emotion, a message, or a laugh through a funny gag in a simple way. Everyone who set themselves up for big goals at the start and conceived a big, glorious film riding on that wave of inspiration never actually made it. As if it by rule, the story goes as follows. A young animator creates their story and makes a storyboard. However, as soon as they start working on it, suddenly they are met with all of the problems and demanding challenges that go with it. And once they ponder their predicament thoroughly and realize how much work is on their plate, they give up. And since the wave of inspiration had passed, they lose hope and the will for it, and pick up some other activity. This can often happen even to those who are making their second or third film. This is because they still can't estimate the amount of work a movie can take, nor their real capabilities. These are 2 of my unrealized beginner storyboards, made in this way. Making an animated movie is a complex job, and it is given that we will encounter a lot of challenges and problems that we need to overcome, especially if we are complete beginners. If you have a great idea for a more complicated film, leave it aside and take up a simpler project. In this way, you'll get more familiar with the actual process of making an animated film, with all of its rules and challenges. You can get slightly burned while making a small film, but large ones sometimes take a week of work for a single thing, animating a complex scene for example, and then you face some unexpected trite issue that will ruin your entire week of work. This will hardly happen if you take time to make 2 or 3 short films, because then you will have precious experience, built by smaller mistakes. Your first film should be anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes long. Really, 5 minutes should be a hard limit that you never go over, unless you start doing professional animation. The main virtue of an animator is to keep the story simple and clear. The 5-minute limit is not all that pointless, since beginners and amateurs often feel the need to make the film longer, probably so it would look more serious and more professional. The film then becomes hard to make and hard to watch. There is no point in making an 8-minute film if your audience will give up after 2. Making a film that holds attention for longer than 5 minutes is a special skill that is earned through hard work and requires a ton of experience. As I've said, your idea for a serious film should be put aside until you've gotten a little experience. Trust me, with 2 films under your belt, you can turn that idea into a much better film than the one it would have been if it were your first project. Those 2 films can be a minute and a half in length. You can make them in a month, given that you're on school vacation, of course. Choose a theme, let your imagination run wild, and play around. My biggest recommendation is that you start with the simplest and most creative forms of animated film. Those are verse movies and music spots. If you're one of those people who enjoy creating your own stories, or if you have some ideas ready, that's also great, but it's important to limit yourself and simplify everything as much as possible. Try thinking of some song that you like, which awoke some emotions in you. Maybe it's a song that you heard in literature class. If you're not sure, read some poetry from famous writers and poets, and find a song you like. A song can have characters and a clear story, or it could be more abstract. Why is a song the best basis for your first film? The first reason is that it carries much fewer technical challenges, which allows you to completely focus on your creativity and playing with animation and your artistic presentation. You don't have the issue of a story, because you're using a story that's already made. You don't have the issue of complex soundscape, because all you need to do is record someone who reads the song well, and if you want, add some quiet music or ambient sound in the background. You don't have a problem of complex direction, nor need for a detailed storyboard either. In addition, the song is a piece of art in and of itself, so your movie will have an innate quality carried by the song you're using. When you choose a song, start a stopwatch and read it aloud and slowly. It must be shorter than 3 minutes in length. Everything said about verse films also applies to music spots, but the animation can also follow the rhythm and melody. The only problem with making a music spot is that you can't just use any music, especially not one from popular authors. However, there are a lot of websites where you can find vocal music of various genres and less-known authors, all of which are royalty-free. Also, you can freely submit your movie to film festivals. Check out the latest attached tutorial for more information on finding royalty-free music. Things you can also use for your film that you can build on and play with include proverbs, comic strips, books, fairy tales, short stories, fables, anecdotes, interesting or funny events from your life, or moments that instilled special and strong emotions, and etc. This is something you can do at the very start, as soon as you decide to take up animated film, but also when you're already created an idea and a scenario for it. The task is simple. Go to YouTube and watch short animated films. If you want to approach filmmaking seriously, dedicate 2 to 3 days for watching these. Find interesting authors, creative films, analyze them, and borrow ideas from them. This is not stealing. Stealing would be if we took a reference and completely copied it. This is a very important step used by every professional, and it is called reference gathering. I would also call it inspiration searching. A single creative idea in some film can jumpstart a whole array of completely new ideas, and in the wave of inspiration you can even find a story for a new film. Write down all the ideas you get on a single paper. It happens sometimes during the production of a film that we encounter a problem that we don't know how to solve. In case that happens, start another research. Watch films with a similar theme or technique to yours, and watch how someone else solved a problem similar to the one you're faced with.